somebody who has suffered from a number of, isms, anxiety, depression, and addiction. I've suffered from them for many years. In 2005, I was being released from an institution for like the umpteenth time, and when you get released from one, they always ask you the same question. They say, what are you going to do different so that you don't end up back in a place like this? They always ask you that. It was at that point in my life where I needed to grab onto something. I felt like I needed something lasting because I was pretty sure I was going to at worst die and at best live a long, miserable life. I had flirted with the idea of yoga for a long time. Yoga was one of those things I was going to do one day. I had been a high-level athlete at one time, and I'd always been interested in the spiritual practices of other cultures, so yoga was on that list, of stuff I was going to do. I was climbing out of what felt like some sort of physical, mental, spiritual depression, and I needed something to get me out of that. So I thought I'd give yoga a try, and I would like to tell you that, some sort of blinding spiritual light led me to yoga, but that wasn't it. There was a beautiful woman who suggested I try yoga, and I followed her. So, what I needed, and I only know this in hindsight, is something to grab onto. I needed something to work towards instead of spending all my energy trying to get away from something. Yoga provided that. I needed to understand that there was a powerful connection between my mind, my body, and my spirit, and yoga provided that. I needed to understand that, what feels uncomfortable in the moment can be gotten through if I stuck to it, and then if I learned how to think about discomfort differently, I could even turn it into something positive. I needed something that I could turn into a practice, an actual lifestyle. I needed something that had tradition. I needed something that had ritual, and yoga provided that. After a while, I started to notice that the ideas that are inherent in yoga are amazingly similar to what, therapists, counselors, and other recovering people had told me for years, but I just wasn't ready to hear it. There's a number of things. There's simplicity, there's discipline, there's truthfulness, there's sacrifice, there's getting rid of my ego, there's righteousness. All these things that were inherent in yoga made for better mental health too, and for me, like some sort of freedom. And I'm saying all this, and I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody that yoga is the only way. I'm not trying to convince anybody that yoga is a guarantee, or that what you need to do. I can only offer, my own story. One of the lessons that I've learned is, my situation is not so different from a lot of people. You know how we think that nobody understands? Well, somebody does understand. I remember being completely hopeless, but today I'm not hopeless, and I haven't felt that way for almost 15 years. I love what Yoga Pose and Cindy are doing. Nobody suffers or dies from mental health issues because help is impossible. It's usually because, there's some inability or some unwillingness to grasp onto help. And because of that, like all of us need to reach out. Everybody in the yoga community needs to reach out because it might save somebody's life. My hope is that in some small way I can be part of that. I hope everybody in the yoga community can find some way to be of help and to reach out in terms of mental health issues. And I'm feeling like that if you're watching this, you've kind of already taken the first step. So let's do what we can. I'm glad to be a part of it, and thanks for listening.